Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Blockchain Gamer.biz's weekly blockchain gaming news roundup. Today is Friday, the 1st of March 2024. I'm your host, Jenny Jordan, and with me is co-host John Jordan. And before we start, I just want to say, check out our website at blockchaingamer.biz, follow us on our social channels, TCG Biz, and on LinkedIn. Hi John, how are you doing?
It's snowing. Can you believe it? It's the 1st of March and it's snowing. What's going on? This is not right.
Not what we'd asked for.
No.
So, up this week, a couple of headlines. The Portal token has gone live, and John has one thing and another to say about that. The Blast mainnet has gone live, layer 2 blockchain. Heroes of Mavia has chosen which blockchain to deploy on, but does it really matter? And how will it affect sort of the game and the ecosystem is chosen? And 3 TCGs have been in the headlines. So the French game developer Cometh has launched its early access of its TCG Cosmik Battle, and a sci-fi TCG by Parallel Studios has gone into open beta, and Gods Unchained has announced its sort of mobile companion app is now live via Google Play and Apple App Store. But, John, kick us off with Portal in 1 minute, please.
Well, certainly not 1 minute. And I guess kind of headlining all this sort of stuff is, it's not specific to games, so we haven't mentioned it, but Bitcoin's gone through 60,000, so everyone's all getting very excited again. And now they're sort of having smart people are having arguments about whether this is the bull run or whether the bull run's not started yet, because it's going to go through $100,000 and all this sort of stuff. So it's sort of a very febrile is the word I would say. It's just lots of sort of slightly mad energy, just charging around all over the place. And meme coins are back. So Bonk, the famous Solana meme coin Bonk is almost back to an all-time high. So there's just this weird stuff going on. I think even Dogecoin is up to $1 billion. It's just all a bit frothy. So that brings us nicely to Portal, which I'm increasingly sort of sniffy about. And maybe that's a little bit says more about me than it does about the project. But so what is it? Good question. So it's not really very clear. So they've not gone through the typical sort of process of saying, this is the team and this is why we're sort of launching this thing, and this is how we're going to break down the tokens, and and that's not to say that I think that you need to do that necessarily, but that's a sort of I would say a good starting point. What we sort of know, it's the team behind the Creeps NFTs who are sort of known, but they've not. I don't think anyway they've officially said that. There are some game sort of veteran sort of guys in there as well. There is no white paper. There is no breakdown of tokens. They basically launched it by getting people, like a lot of these people do now. They launched it by getting people to just tweet about it and use the hashtag, and you basically ended up on this sort of like it was sort of a leaderboard type thing, or like a referral leaderboard. So they basically used social. People spamming each other. It literally got to people said, "Can you stop spamming? Can you stop writing tweets about Portal?" Because everyone was just sort of doing it. Went through this sort of phase at the end of last year. So they ended up in it on this leaderboard. It's very much like Blur, actually, to some degree. And then the token's gone live on Binance. It was like over $8 or $9 billion of Binance tokens staked to get your allocations. That's the most ever in Binance, in the history of Binance. The launchpad. So that shows something. There's some sort of demand, and it's sort of gone live, and it is, it's a top 200 crypto. It went sort of live about about $3. It's down to about $2.50 now. So it's not gone up. I think the degens thought it was going to be. You saw some people just thinking it was going to be like billions of dollars of value. It's about $400 million of value, which is, again, you can either say, I'm sure the Portal people saying that's brilliant. We sort of, we just launched a token and did some social stuff around it, and people loved it, and that's what we've got. Equally, you could say some people just came up with an idea and launched a token, and they've made all this money. And I guess the interesting thing now is once the token's live, then then it's obviously you know whether people like it or not because the price goes up or down during all the time. So the token going live is the start of it. They've said next week, we're going to announce all the things you can do with it, and it's the usual stuff. It's like stake it to get access to sort of supposedly like launches of other games, more airdrops, more sort of chasing, more being sociable, social sort of spamming everyone. So it's sort of a bit more of the same. I mean, to be fair, they do say they've got these games that they're going to integrate with, and the Portal coin will sort of, Portal will be the reason it's called Portal is they think it's a discovery portal for blockchain games, and as if no one's done that before. So you could argue that lots of people have done that before, and no one's done it well. So you could argue there is a big space for someone to go, right, we're going to be this massive. We're going to be the one place everyone goes to find the best blockchain games, and that would obviously be very valuable. And maybe because they really know the space, the crypto space, the degen space. I mean, Creeps is an NFT collection which is all about sort of conspiracy theories and lizard men and all this sort of stuff. So they sort of know that side of things. I think they're going to be light on the game side. I don't think many serious games are probably going to integrate with them. Maybe, I'm totally guessing on that. Maybe games will just go, these guys have got loads of followers and we want to onboard them. To me, it seems a little bit like, this is something that appeals to the crypto degens who either don't care about games or know about games anyway. I don't think this expands the market. They're very, very much like, they're on their Twitter, and I treat this as a bad tagline now, onboarding the next billion gamers to crypto or something. And it's just like, what does that mean? It's just. And I noticed actually now they're saying the first 100 million, so they're sort of already 10xing their divided by 10 their tagline. So I just think for me, I'm not I don't own any tokens. I will never own any tokens. If you like it, go and fill your boots. I think it's symptomatic of the current market, and these coins can sort of launch and do really well, and people will obviously thousands of people have made thousands of dollars from spamming people on Twitter. Good luck to them. But I just, while being all for the sort of the virality that crypto gives in terms of marketing, which I think is a strength, not a weakness, a feature, not a bug, that you didn't need to have something backing it up. And you can sort of fake it to make it, but you have to make it then. And I'm not sure they have the sort of experience or the sort of chops to actually then, right, this is this is the 2-year project which we're building out some stuff to actually do this. This is like, I think we thought up this sort of cool meme coin type thing, and we've done really well out of it, which is,
now,
we've
there
seen
are
before.
other initiatives, similar initiatives. Obviously, they're not being quite as sort of hyped. But
No.
so how would it work in terms of like on the website? Kind of says we got about 200 games ready to integrate our token, 200 plus games even.
Yeah.
So these would be games, many of them with their own tokens already. So what would a kind of benefit be for someone who I don't really sort of
Well, if I was going
having another token sort of thing for
yeah.
a
Well,
fan?
if I was going to sort of steelman their argument for them, I would just say, people really love us. Our Creeps token, our Creeps NFTs are brilliant. We've got a great community. We really understand degen. Sort of what they want. And then now we've got, I don't know, let's make up a number. Now we've got like 50,000. I don't think it's that many, but 50,000 people are holding our token. Which has some sort of value. So they, and we're gonna, once a week, we're going to point our 50,000 followers in the direction of your game, and we're going to give them incentives to go and play your game. And the Portal token only whatever it is, 7%, 10% of it is being distributed. So they got 90% of it still to distribute. So they'll have loads of airdrops. They'll keep doing it. So they can go, right, everyone who goes and plays, game X in the next week. They wouldn't give them an airdrop, but they say you're all going to get boosted on the leaderboard for the next airdrop, and then they'll just basically every week they would go, go and play this game, and at the end of the month there'll be a big airdrop, and the people who got the blah 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 blah. So that would sort of work. Obviously, the problem with that sort of stuff, that sort of marketing, is over time, it tails off. Over time, you're releasing more tokens. Over time, there's not, you have to have utility. So what are you going to do with that token other than selling it, which is clearly that. So it's almost like they have to build a product that uses that token to give to something else I want with it. And in general, that sort of viral marketing, does go like that. The upside is the great bit, but then it's very, very hard to then sort of build out something from it and
sustain it.
And I just I just know a little bit from that team, that the Creeps team, they did really well in the NFT 2021. I think the Creeps collection was quite good. I think they could have actually then been a bit more memey about the sort of stuff they were doing, conspiracy theories and stuff. They were a bit laid back on that. But they were going to build a game. The whole thing was they had this game called Overlord. I can't remember. It was in the Overworld Overlord. They were going to build a game. That was an MMORPG, the whole thing that everyone was doing at the time. And literally nothing came of that. And so Portal, I think, has come from them realising making games is really hard. They can't do it. They were going to run out of money. Let's sort of tap into the market in another way. And I don't want to sort of dump on them. I think they're smart people. And obviously the market is allowing them to do that, and maybe something great will come from it. Maybe they will be the big, discovery platform. But I don't see them. As far as I know, no one's officially said who they are. They're not coming. They're not doing AMAs about this great vision they've got or this great engineering plan. They've. And maybe I'm very traditional. That's what I want to see. And maybe that's not how crypto certainly at the moment is.
You're not moving, you're not adopting fast enough, John.
I'm an old man. In a young man's world. It's true.
Good. Thanks for unpicking that a little bit and giving some nuance as always. Let's move on then to Blast. That's a little bit of a degen sort of project, but it's different. So
yes. So this would be my counterpoint. Really, it works out very well. So. Okay. Blast is a Ethereum L2, so we've got plenty of those, so we don't need another one of those to some degree. But Blast is basically the next project from the guys behind Blur, which is the NFT marketplace that sort of exploded whenever it was a year ago. And basically, it was basically people realised that OpenSea wasn't very good for trading. Like if you were just a trader, just trading all the time, wasn't very good. And didn't have a token. So the very smart guys at Blur just basically said, right, we're going to have an NFT marketplace that's going to be super fast. It's designed for trading. We basically have we have our token. They did a big airdrop to anyone who'd bought NFTs, even on OpenSea. So it's sort of vampire type attack. So you got the Blur token, and then if you were trading into and it wasn't even trading. It was actually if you had your NFTs and you were putting them up to be sold. So creating liquidity in the market, creating markets, then you were going to get. That's how you got points. You didn't get points for trading. You got points for selling, for putting your stuff out to sell, which is psychologically quite clever. So Blur burst onto the marketplace. Traders love it. Still, it's very good. If you want to sell an NFT, you just sell into the bids. There's loads of bids in there, so you're not. If you just want to sell something, you can go and sell it straight away. You don't have to go and put a price on it and wait for someone to take that price. You can just sell basically into the floor at any point. So it's really valuable from that point of view. But again, over time, the sort of the value of giving out the Blur token just sort of ebbs away, and they're on their whatever they are third airdrop, and it sort of changed the way in which people traded NFTs. But then you weren't making tons of money, and the token price obviously dropped because everything did last time. So their way of then thinking, we actually have built a community of people who love trading NFTs. What's next? They just came up with this L2. It's called Blast. The mainnet's gone live. The token, as far as I understand, is not yet live, or at least the airdrop, the Blur airdrop where you get the Blast token isn't live till it goes live in May. So that's good. It gives a period of time. But the other clever thing they've done with Blast, realizing the sort of what degens want, is it gives you a yield. So it's sort of like, people have been staking. So over $2 billion worth of ETH was staked into the Blur smart contract, even though they hadn't. People were saying this is a bit dodgy because it's not been audited, or not quite not been audited, but it's not very clear what's going on there. You can't. It was a one-way lock, so you could lock it in, couldn't get it out again. But then what they've done is they've said 50% of the Blast token is going to be given to dApps building on Blast. So now there's a lot of games, a lot of everything. So a lot of people have just, and a lot of them are just, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be sort of degens doing it. But a lot of sort of quite I don't know what to call them. I mean, there's sort of a lot of applications and games are being built there very quickly and with sort of like a gambling type mechanic in this. There's lots of like hot potato type games, and they all have tokens as well. And a lot of them have said we're going to give our allocation of the blast token. We're going to give back to our users. So everyone's piling into all these things. So in a similar way, it is very degen-y, it is very frothy, it's very febrile, all the terms I've been using. But unlike Portal, at least you sort of know. At least there's something there. There's there's an L2 blockchain that's doing things and has. This is what we've decided it to do. And you might disagree. I might disagree with how they've done that. And I might say, if I was a proper game developer, Arbitrum or Optimism or whatever is going to ZK EVM. That's the place to go in the long term. But I think this is a way of using the virality of crypto in a more, if it sounds wrong, in a more serious way, or in a way that is leading into the degen nature of it. Clearly, it's a whole degen thing, and people are making tons of money or losing money. But there's actually something there. It's not. I think with Portal, it's just like a little bit like, a total meme coin. They're sort of playing at utility. There's, whereas the Blur guys and the Blast guys, the same. They've actually built things. They've actually built products. They've done billions of dollars worth of trading. And in 10 years' time, do I think Blast is the Ethereum L2 where all the games are? No, probably not. But it may well be a blockchain where a certain type of degen-y, hot potato, put in $1,000, lose it all, or make $1 million, and that's what back in the day. That's what sort of Tron and EOS as blockchains were. They had these weird gambling apps where people would do exactly that sort of behaviour. So I think there is a place for that. Again, that's not the place that I'm going to be, but that's the sort of contrast I'd make between those two things.
And some of the games on there: War 3, Super Sushi, Samurai, Sekai Glory, and the Blast Runners. I mean, some of those went live yesterday, so
yeah, and
it could be worth trying out. Some of them are fully on chain, actually. So
yeah,
really.
I mean, that would all play into exactly that sort of thing. It's going to fully on chain is very degen, isn't it? And as I say, there's not going to be deep games that have taken 2 years to build because Blast was only announced like 6 months ago, probably not even that. So you're going to get at the moment you're going to get what you're going to get. But it is, to me, that seems sort of degen. And when I say the term degen, it's not a negative term really. It can be negative, but it's not always negative. There is a sort of degen sort of power that sort of can drive crypto in a sort of positive way.
So how exactly do you define degen?
Well, I don't exactly define it. I mean, it's sort of so degens are people who sort of are inexperiencedly enthusiastic about what's going on. They're doers, not thinkers before doers. And in some ways, I'm all for that. But equally, when you're doing it in such a way where either you get wrecked or your behaviour is encouraging even more inexperienced, basically lose all their money. So I just kind of think, the degen spirit is good, but I think everyone needs a bit of degen spirit. But if you're just a fully degen, then you're just going to get wrecked. You're going to lose all your tokens. You're going to press the wrong button. You're going to, it's not a sustainable thing to be doing. So yeah, there is some. I think people should be looking before they leap. To some degree, quite how much looking they should be doing is sort of a personal sort of characteristic. But I think a lot of these guys, they're probably young guys in their 20s without much.
You do make yourself sound old, John.
No, but
it's nice. It's good.
I've got a wife and 4 kids, so I'm not going to degen into a coin and lose everything or you hope not. No, exactly. That's not why you married me. So so I think there is something there that is about that devil may care sort of thing, which you see in some of the NFT projects. There's a bit of that obviously in sort of Bored Apes, and Bored Apes are so degen they're bored of the whole thing, blah, 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 whatever. But it is nice to see. But I just think we need to take a step back and realise that can't be the whole thing, and that's what most blockchain game projects talk about is the speculators are always going to be there, but you really can't make features for the speculators because they just don't care. They'll speculate and then I'll go somewhere else when there's better opportunity. So that's the problem with those sort of that crowd is they just they have no commitment to anything. They're just on to the next thing. So if you can deal with that, and the blur to blast people are very good at dealing with that because they're bringing out great new products for them to give them that commitment.
Good. Right, let's move on. Heroes of Mavia. You've been kept on playing this week?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm at the difficult stage now where I need to level up from level 3 to level 4. That needs 700,000 gold, previously you needed 70,000 gold to get to the level 3, which is, you could do that. You had to play lots of battles to do it, but you could do it. 700,000 is really difficult because everyone's bases now are quite advanced, because you're quite advanced into the game. I'm on about 150,000 gold, and I don't really get over that because every time, my gold's building up all the time, and then after 6 hours, my shield comes off, and then people come in and attack me, nickel my gold. The shield comes back on again because I've been attacked, but I've lost all that gold. So it's a little bit. So at the moment I'm sort of waiting until they bring out some of the blockchain features, because it's for me,
that leads us on to the core subject, isn't it? They did decide, well, they did announce, they probably decided way back, but they announced this week that they are deploying on Coinbase base blockchain. So it's funny because we don't really have any sort of other prominent game titles. There have been some games, obviously, some fully on-chain games as well, deploying on base, but no sort of really big Web3 title, if you like. So this will be kind of a first sort of draw, perhaps a big potential game that could draw people into base. What's your sort of take on it?
I mean, so people have sort of kicked around the idea of going on base. I think at one point Parallel actually were talking about going on base, and I'm sure people will go on base, but it's a sort of a chain that no one's quite sure what it's there for. Obviously it's owned by Coinbase. It's based on Optimism, uses the Optimism stack, and there are, I think, quite a lot of users there because Coinbase sort of encouraged you, and they had this OP summer thing, didn't they, last year, where they were sort of, there's lots of airdrops they had lots of stuff going on there. But I find that I think the people on there are sort of slightly inexperienced, that they're sort of coming at it from Coinbase, so they're not really power MetaMask users who just coming at it that way. They're coming at it very much through Coinbase. That's very much how it's sort of channeled. And there's some, I think the stuff that's on there has worked is DeFi stuff. They do quite a lot of NFT mints, and I've used Base, and Coinbase send you these sort of notifications saying 1,000 people have just minted this weird NFT, and I mean they cost about 5 cents. So they're trying to use it, I think, to just sort of get people used to this sort of stuff. But there's not really anything on there at the moment. Certainly not gaming. I think also there is, in the long term, I guess, Coinbase is a centralized exchange making money from people trading in and out of crypto. That's it. That's what it does, and that's what it's number one at. So its activity on a L2 blockchain is going to be highly secondary to the way it makes money. So I guess there's that point of view where it's just it's not going to be a priority for Coinbase in the short term or long term. So that was why it was a little bit surprising. But I guess we'll see. The good advantage is if you're the first game on there, then no one's really launched a project like that. I mean, technically, I'm sure it works fine. It's not a complicated thing to run a Ethereum-based L2. Everyone's doing it, as we've discussed. I just sort of hope that Heroes of Mavia actually get all these features out, because it's how long it's been now, a month. And I just think they're losing a lot of their users because they all get, like me, they're all getting stuck at between level 3 and level 4, and just the way you are with mobile games, if you stuck like that, you just uninstall the game and move on to something else. So they do need to do that, and I think it would be cool. They're going to run a marketplace. They've got this Ruby in-game token that you can earn 100 a day by playing the game, but they don't really point that out to you. It's not a very strong feature that they're pointing out, that you're earning something in the game, because it's sort of locked at the moment. But it's just a whole bunch of stuff, even not, I think, related to the blockchain, but just some obvious game design stuff that I would happily spend like $10 in real money, in fiat money, to upgrade my base. And in most free-to-play games, clearly you do that. You buy some gems and just do it. And you can't do that at the moment as well. So that those features are not live yet either. So there's some basic game features that are not live and a whole bunch of blockchain features, and they sort of need to pull their thumb out and do that. So.
Right, so I was actually wrong when I read the headline. So Cosmik Battle, it launched last week, I just clarify that. But this week we had an interview with Cometh CEO Jerome the Tuch, I don't know how you say it, French. And he dives into the game, obviously, why he thinks it's a good game. TCG, space-themed, and it's been launched on Muster, which is their own blockchain on top of Arbitrum. They've sort of built all their underlying tech themselves and infrastructure, so it's a kind of a, it's fully on chain. I think I'm not entirely sure it is, isn't it? And it's been distributed as a PC version, this early access via Epic Games, Hyperplay, and Ultra, and it'll be live. This early access is live for a month, and then immediately following that will be sort of the full launch, and then eventually they will also launch on mobile. So that work is already underway. That's kind of planned to come in 2024. So, have you looked into the game, John? I've not had the time to do it yet.
I mean, we just sort of. I mean, the Cometh people have been around since 2018, 2019. I mean, they're proper OGs in the space. I remember their first game was called Cometh, and it was absolutely impenetrable. I actually bought an NFT. I've still got it somewhere. Some sort of spaceship thing, and it was like a gravity game, and it was just. And I just sort of, it was just. I could never work out how the game actually worked, and I don't know, went on Discord or Twitter or someone to ask someone how it worked, and the explanation left me no better off. It was just, you had to wait for a comet to come through the solar system and use its gravity or something, but you never knew when the comet was coming, so it was just like, well, how am I supposed to just hang around for days on end and wait? Anyway, but they didn't really know what they're doing on the back end side of things. I would say they're very French in terms of their positioning, so they're not very degen. I would say, it's just, I think, they have this weird, they spell everything weirdly, and it's just I don't know, it's just very, I mean, French is, I say that as sort of as a funny way, but the French have a very particular way of positioning themselves, and it is, you see it, I think, in across the ages as well. I mean, these games are often have an interesting art style, and they're sort of very well thought out, but they're a little bit impenetrable, I think, for the mass market. They're a little bit like French art house cinema. That's how I would view it. So I've not played it. I did try and download it and then got waylaid. But and the other, as you pointed out as well, it's interesting that or good timing that Parallel's gone live also as well. And Parallel again, is I would say a much more. Again, I've not played that. But again, it's a project's been around for ages. They've raised like $50 million back in the day from Paradigm, I think, and they're much more a mass market type trading card game. My general thing, which I've often bored everyone with, is trading card games are just not popular. You will not get a mass market trading card game. There are two trading card games that are mass market, and they are Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, and those are not really mass market games. They are profitable, big niche games, and everything else is just like crumbs off the table. You can't build. Someone will prove me wrong, but Valve tried to have this game Artifact. They're the best trading card game designers ever in the world, and it was a total failure. It's just really hard to do, and it's just the mass market do not find it appealing to play digital card games. There are people who actually love it, and all they do is play those games. They will put thousands of dollars into a successful game, but there are not a million of those people in the world, and they only have so much time and money. So it's that's sort of my problem, and I guess that's why Parallel in particular is now talking less about the trading card game Parallel and much more about this new AI third-person action game. And I guess the interesting thing about trading card games is once you have the assets, the card characters, you can then make other games around them, and that's, I guess, where a lot of those games will end up sort of going, I think. And obviously, Splinterlands to a degree is not a trading card game of sorts, but a more accessible game. And it's, as you interviewed, what are they called? Double Coconut, about the tower defense game they're building called Soulkeep, which is using the Splinterlands NFT cards. And yeah, I think trading card games can be a good core for other expansions, sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. And on that note, we're going to finish off. But thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all next week.
Next week, when it won't be snowing.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.